1986 Topps Baseball Cards, 10 Most Valuable. If there's one thing you can say for the 1986 Topps Traded Baseball Cards, it's that they made up for lost time. That's because after the 1985 set that was chock full of big-name rookies and would-be big-name rookies, courtesy of the Olympic subset, the 1986 Topps base set was disappointing by comparison. There were the 1985 Rookie of the Year winners Vince Coleman and Ozzie Guillen, and not much else. Sure, eventually the Lenny Dykstra, Darren Daulton, and Cecil Fielder cards turned into a little something, but it was slim pickings through the summer of the 1986's life. And things only got worse when you compared the Topps checklist to those of Fleer and Donruss, who both managed to include rookie cards of Jose Canseco and Andres Galarraga, among other hot commodities. But even though collectors got plenty of hot cardboard from other manufacturers through the summer, we were always ready for more. So the Topps traded set couldn't have come at a better time for us or for Topps. That year-end update was an immediate hit, and it maintains a pretty solid spot in collectors' hearts all these years since. And that goes double for these 10. They're the most valuable 1986 Topps traded baseball cards in PSA 9 condition, based on recent auction sale prices. 1986 Topps traded Barry Bonds, number 11T. As the son of a successful major leaguer and with a standout college career of his own, Barry Bonds came to the pros with plenty of hype. But while his dad, Bobby Bonds, made his name for himself as a prolific 30-30 man in the game, young Barry was even more toolsy, more about potential. Early on, Barry brought a lot of speed and on-base ability to the Pittsburgh Pirates, but those skills weren't all that sexy to collectors during the boom years, or really ever. So while Bonds' first Topps card was somewhat popular, it lagged behind all the others on the list in terms of value as he built towards his peak. By the time he copped his second National League MVP award in 1992, though, Bonds was generally considered the best all-around player in the game. And when he found his major power stroke in moving to the San Francisco Giants the next summer, all of his cards started to percolate. Of course, Bonds' game would rise to a new peak a decade later. In 2001, he left Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Sammy Sosa, and Mark McGwire in the dust to set a single-season home run mark of 73. And then he set about turning the batter's box into his own personal arcade game by getting on base, partially thanks to gobs of intentional walks, and hitting home runs at an unprecedented rate. Those were the skills collectors love, of course, especially the homers, and Bonds' cards rose like one of his moonshots. Had it not been for his reputation as something of a churlish booer, Barry's cards would have set all sorts of records too. But by the time he took down Hank Aaron's career home run mark in August of 2007, there was plenty of talk about how he might have had some help in his late career surge, and his card value stagnated to a large degree. To this point, after the 2001 Hall of Fame results were announced, Bonds' presumed PED usage has kept him out of Cooperstown. It hasn't kept his first Topps card from climbing to the top of the 1986 traded heap and staying there, though. Today, this is about a $70 card in PSA 9 condition. 1986 Topps traded Bo Jackson, number 50T. Bo Jackson was sort of the anti-Barry, always smiling, flashy in everything he did from the get-go, and a collector favorite right out of the Topps traded box. In fact, at various points in its history, this Bo card was the most popular and valuable in the entire set. Today, even though a devastating hip injury killed Jackson's NFL career in 1991 and severely curtailed his big league tenure, he still remains immensely popular with collectors. This card checks in at about $65 in graded mint condition. 1986 Topps traded Wally Joyner, number 51T. This was one place where Topps didn't fall behind their competitors in 1986, simply because nobody had Joyner pegged as a breakout star. After 3 seasons in the California Angels minor league system, Joyner had established himself as a guy who could hit a pretty high average, but without a lot of power. Not your typical first base profile, but enough to get him a shot at playing in Anaheim. And boy, did he make the most of it. By the end of May, Joyner was hitting .305 with 16 home runs and 41 RBI. And he was slaying the rookie field, even outpacing a certain hotshot for the Oakland A's, who came with plenty of advanced publicity and hobby buzz. Joyner cooled off at that point to finish with just 22 home runs, and finished second in the American League Rookie of the Year voting, behind you-know-who. But in the process of breaking out, Joyner had become Wally World, a national sensation who had collectors clamoring for his card. And it was this rookie card that really drove the set out of the gate. Just like Joyner's presence on Donruss's The Rookies made that thing a hit for the late year releases. Joyner found another power gear in 1987 with 34 dingers and 117 ribbies, before settling into a nice, long, semi-star level career. These days, PSA 9 copies of Joyner's first Topps card brings close to $20 most of the time. 1986 Topps traded Ken Griffey, number 41T. Ken Griffey was a key, though underrated member of the Big Red Machine and the still great Cincinnati Reds teams that followed in the late 1970s and early 1980s. And Sr. put together a long and distinguished career of his own, one that featured more than 2,100 hits, 152 home runs, 200 stolen bases, and a rock-solid .296 batting average. All of that didn't land him in this spot, though. No. What really catapulted Ken Griffey into the hobby spotlight were the on-field exploits of his son, Ken Griffey Jr. Jr. was one of the 10 or so greatest position players of all time, and he's hobby royalty. So it makes sense that his star-level daddy gets some collector love of his own, even when sporting an airbrushed Atlanta Braves uniform. The 1986 Topps traded Griffey sells for $15 to $20 in PSA 9 condition. 1986 Topps traded Jose Canseco, number 20T. Now this was the dude who was supposed to light up the summer of 1986. Just 21 years old entering the season, Canseco was coming off a 36 home run season in the upper reaches of the Oakland A's farm system in 1985, capped off with 5 dingers in 29 games during a September call-up. The next spring, his 1986 Donruss rated rookie card jumped right out of wax packs and into dealer showcases, topping $3 a pop before you could even say Lamborghini. And that Fleer rookie card he shared with Eric Plunk wasn't far behind. Canseco's Topps rookie card, however, was far behind, because it wouldn't exist until November or so when the Topps traded set hit the hobby shelves. In between, Jose was upstaged by Joyner for a while, before overtaking the Angel startup to finish with 33 home runs, 117 RBI, and the American League Rookie of the Year award. Canseco's cards were hobby gold for the first 5 years or so of his career, even as he showed signs of the boobness that would eventually derail his march to Cooperstown. Now, even though the full story of his career is sort of a sad one, and even though he fell short of the monster numbers we all predicted for him, Canseco's rookie card still maintains a degree of hobby swagger. This first Topps Canseco card generally brings $15 to $20 in PSA 9 condition. 1986 Topps traded Will Clark, number 24T. Clark's was more of a slow boil greatness than the sound and fury unleashed at various times by cardboard classmates like Bonds, Jackson, and Canseco. Nonetheless, Clark amassed 2,100 hits in his 15-year career and developed a reputation as a hard-nosed gamer, or sort of a cocky dude depending on who you talk to. But while his power numbers were somewhat blunted by playing half of his games in Candlestick Park through his 20s, Clark still found a solid hobby base, and the thrill remains popular with collectors today. Clark's 1986 Topps traded card sells for about $15 in traded mint condition. 1986 Topps traded Tom Seaver, number 101T. This card is so painful to look at because, number 1, it shows Seaver in an unfamiliar uniform, and number 2, oh God, the airbrush massacre. But it's also historic, as the last card of Tom Seaver's long and storied career. More precisely, it's the first Topps card featuring Seaver with his last team, the Boston Red Sox. And though Seaver appeared in the base 1987 Topps set, that card didn't have anywhere near the artistic appeal that this one does. The 1986 Topps traded Tom Seaver card sells for around $5 to $10 in PSA 9 condition. 1986 Topps traded Bobby Bonilla, number 12T. When Bonilla became a free agent after the 1991 season, there were several in the game who considered him to be the better get-between the Pirates' 2 young superstars, Bonds, of course, being the other. That led to some pretty decent bidding on the open market and an unconventional deal with the New York Mets that will pay Bobby Bo annually through 2035. History tells us, of course, that Bonds was by far the better player, but Bonilla did make plenty of noise with his bat, including a career-high 34 home runs with the Mets in 1993. Partly because of that early firepower, and partly because of the notoriety surrounding his Mets deal after he didn't quite live up to the expectations in the Flushing, Bonilla cards still draw some interest to this day. This first Topps Bonilla card falls into the $5 to $10 range when graded out in PSA 9. 1986 Topps traded Andres Galarraga, number 40T. Galarraga was an old rookie in 1986, turning 25 that June in the midst of a .271, 10 home runs, 42 RBI season that gave the Montreal Expos a glimmer of hope for their first base position. That was enough to warm up his Donruss and Fleer rookies a smidge too, and enough to give his 1986 Topps traded card some immediate footing in the hobby. As Big Cat solidified himself as one of the best fielding first basemen in the game over the next few years, and especially when he led the majors with a .370 batting average as the inaugural member of the Colorado Rockies in 1993, that foothold became a ladder. Galarraga may never make the Hall of Fame cut, but he ended his 19-year career with 2,300 plus hits, 399 home runs, just like Al Kaline, and a .288 batting average. It all adds up to a $5 to $10 price range for PSA 9 copies of his first Topps card. 1986 Topps traded Kevin Mitchell, number 74T. By the time this card hit the hobby, Mitchell had just helped the New York Mets win the World Series title, and his .277 average was 12 homers in the regular season, landed him in third place showing in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. Not surprising, then, that this card became a collector favorite right away, as we all envisioned big power from the man who replaced George Foster in Shea Stadium. 3 years later, when Mitchell won the National League MVP award to help the San Francisco Giants to a National League pennant, his popularity and his card was at its peak. Mitchell put together a few more solid seasons right after that, but never again scaled to those heights. Still, his first Topps card brings in $5 to $10 in PSA 9 condition these days.